Hello guys, and welcome to another Btekt. And this time it's an unboxing and tips and tricks video for the Huawei Mate 20X. Now I know it's been out for a while and that I'm a little bit late getting around to reviewing it, but I've really been looking forward to getting hold of one of these. I mean, it has a 7.2 inch screen. This thing is massive. You can tell that even before you open up the box. Even the box is huge. But despite its size, it's actually a cheaper version of Huawei's Mate 20 Pro, but it's got some other little perks that you don't see with Huawei's brilliant flagship. So why is it cheaper? Well, there's no wireless charging, so that means there's no wireless reverse charging, which actually isn't really that useful anyway. However, wireless charging is, and once you've had a phone with it, you sort of do miss it when you're rolling without it. Also, you've got the old-fashioned type of fingerprint scanner, you know, the super rapid one that's placed on the back. When I was using the Mate 20 Pro, I had to keep on resetting the fingerprint scanner as it would just keep failing to recognize my fingerprint over time. So coming back to a phone that has a regular fingerprint scanner actually feels quite good. You still get the face unlock despite having the smaller dewdrop notch. This method of face unlock may not be as sophisticated as the one that we find in the Mate 20 Pro, but from a user experience standpoint, you don't notice any difference. As well as the free case, inside the box you get a USB Type-C cable, a pair of 3.5mm earphones, as you do get a headphone jack with the Mate 20X. There's also Huawei's 22.5 watt supercharger, so another small concession when compared to the Pro. No 40 watt supercharger here. And the supercharger from the Pro won't charge this device any faster, if you were wondering, but it's still not bad at all. I say it's cheaper, but this is still a massively expensive phone at around about £800. And for that money, as you'd expect, you still get a fully fledged flagship smartphone. You still get an OLED display, albeit with a lower screen resolution than the Pro at 1080 by 2244. You still get the amazing Leica triple matrix camera system that is rated the best on a smartphone at the moment, at least for now. The P30 is just around the corner. But just keep in mind that this is a big phone. Here it is compared to the Mate 20 Pro, so you get an idea. The 7.2 inch screen has an aspect ratio of 18.7 by 9 and a screen density of 346 ppi, and gives you loads of real estate, even enough to actually use the split screen mode. Because come on, nobody ever uses split screen mode, do they? I know I'm going to regret that. Hit me up in the comments below if you do. To use the split screen mode, just swipe up and hold to get your recent apps, and then tap this icon here. So in this video, I'm not going to go over the camera because I've done that on the Mate 20 Pro and it's exactly the same here. But what I am going to do is share a few tips and tricks that I find useful for when using this monster of a handset. Before we go on, I want to say a special thank you to Direct Mobiles for looking after us here at Btekt. They have 24 years of award-winning customer service, so it makes them a sensible choice if you're looking for a good deal on your next handset. Check in the video description below for a link to their deals, or search directmobiles.co.uk. So the first tip is to hide that notch. Me personally, I don't mind it. Sometimes I feel like having a notch and sometimes I don't. But if you want to get rid of it, just go to Settings, Display Settings, and then More Display Settings, and then hit Notch and get rid of it. My next tip is to darken the interface colors, because OLED displays don't use any power to show black, so it just makes sense to do it. Just go to the settings, scroll down to battery, and then darken interface colors and change it to black. It looks better, easier on the eyes, and it's going to save you battery, so it's definitely worth doing. My next tip is dependent a little bit on how good your eyesight is, and that's to shrink the size of the text displayed on the screen. I mean, my eyesight isn't the best by any means, but this display is so big that I find if I shrink the text to its smallest size, it's still easy for me to read and frees up way more screen real estate. The only reason I'm really recommending this tip is because I know that my eyes are not 20/20, so I think most people should be able to get on alright with a screen this size even if the text is at its smallest. Just go to Settings, then Display Settings, and then Text and Display Size. You're then given a couple of sliders to play around with. Set them to what suits your eyes best, but if your eyes are worse than mine, having the extra large screen works both ways. The screen is so big, if you increase the size of the text, then it becomes huge, which is very useful if you are visually impaired. My next tip is the performance mode. We've got a 5000 mAh battery in the Mate 20X. Trust me, that's plenty to get anyone through the day, even a heavy user. So if you're like me and you want the best performance possible from your phone, then go to Settings, hit Battery, and there you'll find the performance mode options. Enabling it will increase your battery consumption, but on the other hand, if you're the type that doesn't charge your phone every night, then you might want to use the battery save option instead. You have a choice between a normal power saving, which will reduce the data used by the apps and throw back the processor to a more manageable speed, or the ultra power saving, which will blacken your interface and remove access from most of your apps, except a choice few for which you can select and place on your darkened home screen. Don't go too mad though, the Mate 20X is definitely more juicy than the Pro. This massive screen consumes noticeably more power, but the battery is big enough to lead on a little bit. Unless you've got hands like Andre the Giant, you're not going to be able to reach the notifications tray one-handed, so it might be a good idea to use the fingerprint scanner instead. Swiping down on the fingerprint scanner will reveal the tray, and swiping back up on it will dismiss it. To do this, you have to set up the fingerprint scanner in the first place. So go to Settings, Security and Privacy, and then Fingerprint ID. If you've already registered your fingerprint, then the option to show the notifications tray will be there. The fingerprint scanner can also be used to take photos and videos, answer calls, stop the alarm, or browse photos. Another way to make this handset more manageable is to use the one-handed mode, which is accessible by swiping up from one of the bottom corners of the device, and then either tapping on the dead space or swiping up again from the corner to get back to full screen mode. Definitely really useful, even if like me you have got quite a big hand. I've been really enjoying using the Mate 20X, and initially I thought it was just going to be too big for me. But when you shrink down the text and make the size of the device work for you, then you realise how good this phone really is. I want to get hold of a stylus before I put out my full review, so if you look at this phone as a Note 9 alternative, and you want to know if it's any good, make sure you're subbed to Btekt for a detailed and honest review, which will be out in the next week or so. Anyway, that's it from me. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, double tap the notification bell, and smash the like button for me. I'm David, and this is Btekt.
It's Archie.